Building resilience around trauma. Lessons that I've learned from building my resilience around my own trauma. Now, spoken a lot about building resilience and how important it is to build resilience, and how by building resilience it is possible, I believe, to recover from different trauma and different traumatic experience. Spoken by somebody who has had over a decade of physical and sexual trauma had done to him from a child. Now, I understand better than most how hard it is to have to live with the pain and the memories of physical and sexual abuse. It is, again, something that I'm extremely passionate about, to be able to help other people on their journey of creating better overall wellness by building resilience. Now, how do you build resilience? The fundamental question that we teach, that I've taught, that I've learned over the past 5 years of being on this journey in the first place. So it is hard. Outrightly, simply put, fundamentally, it's fucking hard. There's no shortcuts. There's no quick fixes. There's no cheat sheets. There's no easy way around. It's long, grueling, hard work. And it is the most rewarding thing you will ever do. You will live a longer, happier, healthier life for it. You will do things you never thought you could do. You'll meet people you never thought you'd meet. You will live a completely different life than the one you've been on, the one you were meant to be on before the trauma, or maybe even the one you're meant to be on anyway. I am not a religious person. I do like to believe that there is something after death, and I do like to believe that in some form of spirituality, a little bit in terms of what life like in fate and in those different kinds of things. I do believe that everybody is destined for something. I've said it in other videos. I do believe people who have had horrifically traumatic experiences are meant for more, and they have been. It's not fair for it to be done to them, but at the same time, I don't think it's an excuse to just live in a pit of depression your entire life and to just use it as an excuse for everything. Again, having been through it myself, I have been faced with the choices many times. Do I continue being a drug addict and an alcoholic and just sit about and do nothing? Or do I actually do something with my life and use the pain as a guiding light, I suppose you could say, or in a little bit of a kick up the arse to ensure that I do something more than just sit around and do nothing? So, building resilience. How do you actually build resilience? Each individual person is going to go through their own journey and is going to build resilience in different ways. So, how did I build my resilience? Now, I built my resilience through a variety of physical and mental and spiritual tasks, tools, and techniques that eventually became habits, healthy habits, and rituals that I do on at least a weekly basis, if not a daily basis. So the physical tasks that I do are things on a daily basis, and then usually the more mental and spiritual things are done more on a weekly basis. So these are a wide variety of training. So physical training in terms of stretching, mobility, and weight training. These three different areas have allowed me to relieve a lot of physical pain in my body, as well as a lot of stress held in my body and a lot of trauma held in my body. As we've spoken about in previous videos, the body remembers, the body keeps a score, and the body is able to remember all the things that are done to us. The brain has the capacity to remember every single thing that we see, smell, hear, taste, and touch. And so therefore, it needs a physical release. Mental release in terms of journaling has been the biggest thing that's helped me, actually tracing back, journaling, creating timelines, writing everything out in extreme detail is the things that have helped me the most, without a shadow of a doubt. And so then we move on to different things like meditation. Meditation's been a big thing for me. I sort of like ebb and flow with meditation. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it. Love it more in the summertime when I can sit outside in the sun, bask in the vitamin D, and then sort of down with my feet in the grass or on the sand and sort of have that kind of meditation. That's what I like, really being connected and grounded to the earth. Again, not a religious person, but very spiritual in that sort of realm, in terms of actually understanding that we are connected to the ground and different things like that is something that I really, really, really love. And then we have Well, yeah, that's some of the things that have worked for me. So that's how mainly I've built my resilience over the past few years, is being able to confront it head on and not let it have control over me. And so something I see with other people in their traumas is they don't want to open Pandora's box. And I feel like the best way to build resilience is to open Pandora's box in the first place. It's horrible, it's nasty, you don't know what's going to come out of it, but you need to. So the way that I describe opening Pandora's box in terms of mental health is my trauma is like a house, quite literally, right? So when I first started building resilience, I had trauma therapy. It's very specific, with a very highly, I say, decorated trauma therapist. She was a highly qualified trauma therapist who'd worked with people with schizophrenia to dissociative identity disorder to a wide variety of different mental health conditions. We did some, I don't want to say spiritual enlightenment, but at the same time it almost was. So I've taken a lot of drugs in my time. I've taken a lot of LSD, I've taken a lot of mushrooms, I've had some crazy trips, and I've seen some crazy things. Nothing will ever compare to this trauma counseling that I had. It was like being on an acid trip, but 10 times more, because I was literally diving into my subconscious. A lot of people don't believe me when I say that. I've looked at it scientifically. It is possible, however hard it may be, it is possible. So I went into, this is in the height of lockdown as well. I went into this, we were in the therapy session and we went into this like meditative trance. In the meditative trance, I had an out of body experience. So we went into like big black. It was black. I could just see nothing but blackness, right? I felt like I'd woken up, but I wasn't, right? I was in this big black sort of area and I could see this house, right? And then as soon as I saw the house, I understood that the house, this particular house, which was a massive part of my trauma at a young age, was the house that I had a lot of bad things done to me, but this was the house of trauma. So that was Pandora's box, right, for me. And that was what I had to I had to open the house, right? By opening the house, opened up 10 years of repressed memories that I had during my time of being abused. And so when I opened, I didn't open at that point, I could just see it. And that was the choice I had to make. And that's the choice the therapist gave me, was you don't have to open that box if you don't want to. But if you want to, then I'm here to support you. And that is, I feel like a lot of people who have been through really heavily abusive, traumatic, different things like this have the opportunity to open Pandora's box. And having been there, like I said, it's scary, it's terrifying, but it's so worth it. It's not like you have to remember everything that happened. You have to relive everything that happened. But if you have the opportunity to remember those things, it means that you are strong enough to deal with those memories, right? So your brain represses memories because you are not mentally prepared for it. So if you are then having the opportunity to open that box on purpose, it means that you're prepared for it. Because what happens if you don't open it on purpose is that these thoughts, feelings that are tied with these memories, thoughts, feelings, and emotions that are tied in with these memories manifest themselves into physical pain at some point in your life. And there have been, even the NHS has come out and said that there have been many different diseases later on in life linked to unprocessed emotional states from a young age. And so the fact the NHS are now coming out and saying this is like, it has to open your eyes up to something, right? There have been different forms of cancer, different medical conditions, that unexplained medical conditions like fibromyalgia has been heavily linked to repressed memories, thoughts, and emotions and feelings, because the body remembers. Like I said, if you don't believe me, then someone who's lived through it, go and do your own research and look into it yourself. Look at Beth Rothschild and look at Louise Hay, all who are heavily documented authors who have come out and spoken about this and how the body can remember everything that's happened to you. Even if you can't actually remember what's happened, the body does, and therefore physical pain can manifest from the different traumas that have happened to you. So my option to open Pandora's box was there. Now, before I had the opportunity to open Pandora's box, I wasn't able, the house was so far away, I wasn't actually able to go to that house. I had to wait, and I had to then, it was weird. So it was in this massive black sort of area. I saw the house, and then I was straight back to where I was having the therapy session. All I could hear was the therapist's voice. We were going through a guided session, and then I had an out-of-body experience where I could look at myself sat down. It was insane. Like I say, I've had out-of-body experiences when I've been on LSD. I've had massive trips when I've been on mushrooms and psilocybin mushrooms, and it's been insane. I've seen some crazy things. Nothing will compare to this, ever. And so then I saw myself, and all I could see in my room, all I could see was this big golden light. And I knew that that's what I needed before I could start unlocking everything that was going to come. So from then, at that point on, there was nothing more I could do. I came back down. I was then back inside my body. I was able to open my eyes, and I had to go and find that gold thing, whatever it was. It was, once I found the gold thing, I was then actually finding it was a process. It was insane. Once I then found it, I was straight back to where I was. My life flashed before my eyes, quite literally. All of those memories came flooding back into my brain, and it was just an overwhelm, a sensory overwhelm. There was things I could hear that I hadn't heard in a long time. There were things I could see that I hadn't seen in a long time. It literally, my life flashed before my eyes, and it was an insane transformation. And so the key things that I learned from that is that it is worth it. It is scary. It is hard. But once you have those different memories, you find out who you are, you find out where you've come from and who you're sort of meant to be. And that's the thing that scared me the most, is because say you've been doing something for your entire life and you never figure out why. And people always turn to you and go, why do you do that? And you're like, I don't know. There'll be a reason. There's always a reason. There's always why, right? I used to piss my parents off so much when I was younger because they'd go do this and I'd go, why? And they'd go, doesn't matter why, it's because I want you to do it. And I'd be like, why? And I've made it my life mission to understand why I do everything, why we do everything. It's why I become a personal trainer. It's because I wanted to understand why our bodies do certain things and how you grow muscle and how your muscle atrophies, how your bones grow, how your brain grows, how your heart fails, all these different things that happen, and you understand why. And the more knowledge you have, not only about yourself, your body, your brain, but why you do the things that you do in your spiritual life path, I suppose, if you want to call it, then the more information you have about everything, and then the better position you're in to be able to thrive in your life. And so, having been on that journey, because the journey never ends, particularly, I wouldn't say. You have low points and you have high points, and you have low points and you have high points, and sort of like medium points. I would say medium points. So I'm on a medium point at the moment, just like ebb and flowing, because I've had most of my lows. I would say I've had a lot of my highs, and sort of now I'm just sort of ebbing and flowing through life, because it's just that point in life. And I'm sure later on in my life, I'll have big highs again and I'll have big lows. That's just how life goes. So key things that I actually learned the key points I've learned over the 5 years of being through my emotional journey of dealing with my physical and sexual abuse itself is that, number one, nobody will understand your particular position. Even somebody like me, even somebody else who's been through different physical and sexual abuse, nobody will actually understand your particular journey. Because it's your journey. Only you've lived it. No one else will have lived it. People can understand that it can be horrible. People can understand that, especially people who have been through different things themselves, they can understand how horrible it is, but they can't understand your journey and what you went through. Point number two is, if somebody hasn't been through any physical or sexual abuse, they do not know how horrible it is. And it pisses me off when people who haven't been through it go, oh, that must have been horrible. Well, it was such a stupid thing to say. Of course it was horrible. What a stupid thing to say. That pisses me off so much. And they're like, that much. Yeah. Or people who haven't been through it turn around and go, I understand. No, you don't. Not at all. You cannot possibly understand anything about what I've been through, how I've been through it, how many times I did it, how many times it was done. You have no concept. That irritates the fuck out of me because it's not like you have no idea whatsoever. Number 3 is that it will stay with you for the rest of your life. And whether you deal with it, whether you don't deal with it, it's going to be with you no matter what. It's a part of who you are. And so the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can move on from it. Point number 4, there's always a way out of it. There's always something you can do to be able to thrive and live a better life. Always. I don't care what anybody says. If you feel like there's no way out, there's nothing that can happen that can make you feel better, there is. I promise you there is. You've got to find what works for you. And that'll be different for someone else. For me, it worked meditation, journaling, exercise. Brilliant. Some people running, some people swimming, some people no exercise at all. Some stretching, some yoga, some Pilates, whatever it may be. Or it might be the fact of speaking to someone. Right. I started going through my stuff. I needed to speak to somebody. Now I don't particularly need to speak to anybody because I have my own. I speak to myself. That makes sense. Quite literally, sometimes I do speak. Like now, I'm in a house by myself. I'm speaking to. Yes, I'm filming a video, but I'm speaking to myself. Being able to understand different things is extremely important. Point number 5. I think we're on point number 5. Number 5. Knowledge is power. The more knowledge you have about yourself, what happened to you, why it happened to you, when it happened to you, how it happened to you, the more detail you have, the better that you're able to then fight your demons and understand why you do the things that you do, how you do the things that you do, when you do the things that you do, and then how to combat the emotional feelings that you have and stop living in anxiety, stop living in depression, start thriving and stop surviving. That's key. I think that's it. I would say they're my key top 5 takeaways or top 5 lessons for surviving trauma. Definitely top 5 lessons that I've learned. Top 5 lessons that I've learned for surviving trauma, I would say. Because all of them have such a massive role to play. And like most people have no idea. Well, I say most people. I think the latest official research is 1 in 3 children are abused in today's world. But I think the more realistic figure is probably 1 in 2, I would say. Probably about half in today's world, which is disgusting. So a lot of people have an understanding of trauma. Well, a lot of people have an understanding of how horrible trauma can be. Actually have an understanding of trauma, what it does to your body, again, is a whole nother topic of conversation. But they're definitely my key lessons to be taken away from dealing with trauma myself for the past only 5 years. Obviously, I've dealt with it my entire life. I didn't actually realize it until 5 years ago when it was all released. So that's a whole nother topic of conversation. But yes, guys, I hope you took something away from this. Please do not forget to like, comment, follow. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment your thoughts down below and share this with somebody who needs the support. Follow along the journey for yourself and I shall see you in the next one.